I remember like when I was a kid, we'd go on vacations, and my parents, my dad had like a little AE1 camera, which is like a little film camera from Canon, and I don't ever remember like being introduced to it. It was just like he had it, and so I would just steal it during vacations and go take pictures of random stuff.
Between the Reps with Brooke and Jeanna is a CastBox original, produced alongside Studio 71.
CastBox is the fastest growing and highest rated podcast app on both iOS and Android, where you can find all your favorite podcasts.
You can listen to Between the Reps wherever you get your podcasts, but we hope you'll give CastBox a shot. We think it's the best.
Hey guys, welcome back to Between the Reps with Brooke and Jeanna.
And no surprise here, we're not really sure what we want to talk about. Except for we are going to have a guest on this episode. His name is Eric. He's a photographer. He's taking photos of me right now. That's why Gina was talking about my paparazzi.
She just has them following around every day. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
It's for those days when you feel kind of shitty about yourself. You know, you're like, can you just come around and capture all the shitty moments? So
so I can just really look back and feel shittier.
Prove it to people?
Yeah.
It's more so I can have him take lots of bad photos of me. So whenever Gina's having a bad day, I can send her worse photos of me to make her feel better.
I take so many bad photos that you can be like, no, look, I do too. It's like literally, it's like 1 in 100 is a good picture of me.
I definitely keep a few.
In the arsenal?
I keep them in my arsenal to shoot
There's
to her.
some good ones.
And she's seen all of them. But when she's having a bad day, there's some good ones that will never see the light of day outside of herself.
Don't piss me off. I'll release them.
She's just like on eBay.
Yeah.
Who wants to see the worst photo of Brooke ever? Me.
Said no one ever.
All right. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, it's Monday. It's actually Monday. Went to breakfast with Eric this morning. Have you...
Eric who?
Eric, how do you say your last name?
Greenhalgh.
Why? I feel like I have it in my phone.
It's spelled differently, but it's
that's why.
It's just like you walk down
a Greenhalgh.
Yeah, Greenhalgh.
But now I want to look and see how it's spelled. You guys are like, wow.
The GH is silent.
Yeah, that's why. Greenhalgh. H-A-L-G-H.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How do people...
Greenhalgh.
Yeah. Do people say that a lot?
That's a common one. And then the weirdest one ever, though, and I don't understand, is they say green wall.
Green wall?
Like, where do you get the W from?
Yeah. Did you just say idiot?
Yeah.
Right after? Idiot?
Yeah, I mean, my last name is 4 letters, and it surprises me how many people mess it up.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
What do they call it?
NC.
Oh, okay.
That's probably the only, like, the real way. Eins, fine.
Try, Sam.
No, but the worst is when I'm on the phone with someone, like buying airfare or something, and they say my last name, right? Like, what's your name? Oh, Brooke. What's your last name? And they're like, I'm like, well, I start spelling it, and then they always mess it up, and I spell it out, and then they get the letters still really confused.
All of those letters.
4 letters.
Yeah.
And I have really tried to work on my pronunciation too of my letters, because even then they still fuck up the N and the C.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Idiots.
How about yours though?
Well, Chancharulo.
Or Scarborough.
Or Scarborough, yeah. I got screwed either way, so.
Or your first name.
My first name.
What's your name? Jeanna. And they're like, oh, J-E-A.
I just spell everything. And I've learned, like, on the phone that I have to go, like, C as in cat.
Yeah.
I-A-N as in Nancy. Because they always screw it up. So, yeah. There's that. What's funny is Nico, when my ex got my name tattooed across his belly.
That's real
It's
story.
Jeanna. And people literally were like, I can't believe he has his ex's. They thought it was, like, his ex. Because they didn't put it together that it was my name on his stomach. Just when they would meet us at
Tell
first.
that story really quick.
Which one?
When he came home with that.
Oh, man. Well, so it was our first anniversary, and it was really funny because he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go do something. I'll come right back. And I think I was with the kids. I think I was with the kids at the pool. And because we had like a his and my situation. So we had like 3 kids like swimming around. And he literally like goes, because everyone's probably like, huh, it's first year anniversary, 3 kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
His, hers, and ours.
Yes, we had kids when we came into it. But he showed up at the pool and he had this big bandage on his stomach, and he takes it off, and it's like Jeanna and like big giant letters, like,
and it kind of
literally goes
up
across,
and up
over his belly button, like across his whole stomach. And I was like, whoa, like what the hell? Thank you,
Happy anniversary.
yeah. It's like I guess I need to go get a tattoo. So I got a tiny little one on the inside of my ankle, and he used to always be like, oh cool, you could cover that up easily. And then he would joke, he'd be like, yeah, if we ever got divorced, I'll just put sucks underneath it. And now we're divorced.
Yeah, they're divorced, and he didn't get
sucks. He just got it removed.
But I do want to dress up as him for Halloween.
Oh my god, and get it.
Yeah.
Just a bald cap, and then
before me and Jeanna became best friends, me and Nico were best friends. We're still good friends, but
yeah, we're all good friends. I stole you.
Yeah, he led me.
Still mad
he
about
led
it.
me to my bestest. But I want to dress up like him for Halloween, and I want to like get a bald cap, and then draw Jeanna across
what are you gonna
my
wear
belly.
on your boobs?
He has another tattoo up here, doesn't he?
Yeah, but are you gonna wear a bra? What, you're gonna wear like a wife beater?
Yeah, probably
Really
a wife beater.
like half like cut off.
Probably a wife beater, and I'll just like constantly being like pull my gut out. And then Vans.
Yep.
You know,
And
some
Levi's.
swim trunks.
Yeah,
Or
swim
Levi's.
trunks, yes. Yep, that's his whole.
Or flip flops and Levi's that are a little long and frayed.
I hope he's listening to this. He doesn't listen to us.
Definitely not.
Does not listen to us.
Anyways, I was talking about going to breakfast with Eric.
Okay.
I want to know if this has ever happened to you, and then listeners, you can think about if this has happened to you. All of a sudden, it's silent in there, and there's someone on the ground that's like passed out or fallen or something crazy.
Yeah.
First, I'm thinking it's someone who's at the restaurant, but then I noticed that they were behind the counter.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sat there forever. They're like asking people to like find her purse to see if she has any medication in her purse. And so they're taking these big pill bottles over, and I'm thinking this woman's got to be old. She was like,
I just assumed she was old.
well, because like,
Oh, I know, yeah.
One, okay, maybe they fell.
Right.
Old.
I just fell.
I
know. Old. That's so funny. Yeah.
Old.
Yeah. Fall. Old.
Giant bottles of pills. So I'm thinking like maybe epilepsy, maybe something
Sure.
crazy. And then me and Eric are sitting there, and we're kind of waiting. Sorry guys, people are doing yard work, which is totally fine.
The lawnmower.
Finally they get her standing. Happy he's employed. They get her standing, and she's like probably like maybe 18, 17, like a young
She's
girl.
a baby.
Little redhead, and like she still looked like she was definitely just like out of it. But we need more doctors around all the time.
Can I get a doctor in the house?
But yeah, have you ever been anywhere when
I haven't.
someone's like gone down?
No, I
and
haven't.
everyone's like, no one knows what to do? I mean,
That's not true. One time I was in church, and I think they like drug a lady out, and she was like moaning and yelling, and
oh, they were trying
my
to get
kids
the
thought she
spirit out
was
of her?
being weird, and so they started laughing, and I had to tell them like, stop laughing. It's like someone's hurt, you know. But no, I've
Drug a
never
lady out.
had that happen. We have a friend though who's a doctor
Yeah, Jordan,
who's been
that's
on
what-
2 flights.
Same trip. wasn't
Same
it?
trip, 2 flights, had to assist someone, and got free flights
Yeah.
for both of them. I mean, at least all that money you're putting into your PhD is going somewhere.
Okay, this is
Free
crazy.
flights.
This is a crazy story. So, do you remember when I went and did that trip to? Where did I go in Mexico? I went to.
In Mexico?
Yeah. Oh. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, I went to Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, yeah, that was a tough one.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, Puerto Vallarta, one of the most popular destinations.
Yeah,
Okay.
like Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, I went to Puerto Vallarta, and I went for like the little fitness retreat that I did.
Okay.
A few years ago. I took Sam with me, Sam Dancer.
Oh yeah, you guys like
And
did
we
the
were,
beach workouts.
yeah, we
and all
went and
that.
did like beach workouts and went and did a bunch of stuff. Well, we went and did a little day trip. This like very like a beachy town where a lot of people go. Well, also it takes forever to get there. There's no close by hospitals or close by medical places.
Right.
And we're out on the beach and we're walking around, you know, swimming and stuff. And I remember I was standing next to.
Sorry,
the lawnmower's
kicking into high gear as you're telling your story. Okay.
Sorry guys, this is just
Talk
the way
louder.
this is just the way
Talk
it has
louder.
to be right now.
Yeah.
We're really sorry about this podcast and the lawnmower, but this is it. This is us. This is it. Anyways,
Anyway,
looking in the water, and all of a sudden, and Sam saw this the same time I did. I noticed this guy who's out there like swimming, and I'm like, oh, it must be a snorkeling, because he's on his belly, like feet like
just
like
down,
face
floating.
down. And I'm so for a minute, because his arms are by his side too.
Yeah.
He's got water shoes on, and so I watch him for a minute, like to see like, oh, he's gonna like paddle or
some movement.
breathe.
Yeah.
Because I'm also looking, I'm like, you don't have a snorkel on. Your face has been in the water for a really long time.
That's
and so
scary.
Sam's next to me, and like I see it, and like he sees it like right after me, and we just bolt out into the water. We get out to this guy, we roll him over. It was like the grossest thing it's so super bloated belly. Like
already dead?
gray. Okay.
He's dead?
We're like convinced he
Okay,
no.
sorry. I'm skipping ahead to the story.
Convinced that he's dead. Heavy guy. So we all grab him. Me and Sam and couple of the other guys that were there with us for the fitness retreat come out and grab him. We drag him into the beach and roll him on his side, and the beach is kind of at a slant, so we're trying to like get water out of him, basically. This guy, we sat and we got him to like throw up water.
Oh, okay.
But still like super unresponsive.
Yeah.
And just gray, like his whole body, super gray. We end up getting him onto trying to do CPR, get him onto a gurney, take him up into the shade, and they're still just trying to work with him and trying to get him to have like be responsive.
Mm-hmm.
And they told us like it could be hours before an ambulance could get there.
Oh my God.
Because one, there wasn't anything close by. Two, they weren't exactly, apparently like this beach is definitely a destination where people go on vacation and they drink a lot and they get in the water.
Oh, okay.
And like because of that, it's almost like there are problems a lot, and they have no rush to like get there.
Natural selection.
Yeah.
You're gonna get drunk and go in the water. It's your
But
fault.
also, don't speak Spanish, right?
Right.
Everyone's being Sam, like, we don't speak Spanish. Well, somehow, after a while of him being like, you know, us putting like cold water on him and him being in the shade and kind of being responsive, but still like really, really messed up, we find out that he had epilepsy.
Oh.
There were some of his family members that came down and found out that he had epilepsy, and he basically had a seizure in the water, but no one was with him.
Where were they?
And no idea.
It's horrible.
But yeah, that was like probably one of the craziest
That's
experiences
scary.
for me. Like I literally I'm just watching this guy, and I'm like, okay.
That is so scary to me.
Just like watching him, like, is he gonna move, or because I would see waves coming,
Mm-hmm.
and he wouldn't. He would just like
yeah.
And so I'm like, that's not
right.
right. Yeah.
Well, and I've
we
done
just
like a
bolted
CPR
out there.
class before, but I feel like in that situation I would forget everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't
Personally.
do it.
Well, I know you're not supposed to put your mouth on them anymore.
No, it's just you do chest compressions
Yeah.
to the music to the
oh,
song
yeah.
of
It's from The Office.
yeah, it's to the song
Staying
of
Alive.
Staying Alive.
Yeah,
Stay alive.
that's how I
Stay
It's
know.
one of the best episodes
Yeah,
ever.
I know.
That's funny though. When I took the course, they
Uh-huh.
taught that same thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I took the course with my brother-in-law, Matt,
Yeah.
and you know he doesn't enunciate very well.
Yes.
And they would make us run through like drills, and they had him like, you know, he had to like go up and like act like, are you okay?
Oh.
And like and like do this like run through.
Yeah.
And he named him, and that was the funniest thing to us. He was like, I can't remember the name that he gave, but it was like he like went up, he's like, are you okay, Bob? And all of us were like, Bob, did you just name him? Like that wasn't even part of the thing. Like you just totally improvised. Nice work. But yeah, it was really funny. Couldn't stop
gosh.
making fun of him.
I bet.
Yeah. Bob, I hope you're okay, Bob. Bob, we're
Like
gonna...
no inflection.
Yeah, like,
like
just no,
inflection.
his mouth's not moving. Bob, we're gonna turn you over on your side. Bob. It's like, oh my God. Just don't talk to him at all.
Oh man.
No one can understand what you're saying. Anyway. Well, that's very scary. So she was okay this morning, though?
Yeah, I think
Oh.
they got her up, and then she walked. They finally took her into the back of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Then you guys were out.
Yeah, and Eric even said, he was like, well, better conscious than unconscious. Conscious?
That's true.
Unconscious? Unconscious?
No, unconscious.
Unconscious?
Conscience is the...
Fuck.
I think a conscience is like Jiminy Cricket.
It's your conscience.
Yeah, your conscience.
Unconscious?
Unconscious.
Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Anyways, that was my morning. Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. It's nice. Eric's in town just for the day. He got in yesterday. And we're going to do some photos and hang out.
Cool.
Yeah. So, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to, because you guys are watching this film right now, I'm going to check the battery on the camera. And we'll come back and we're going to have Eric on. We're going to ask him a little bit about his photography company and his CrossFit gym in Arizona. So whenever I go to Arizona, I usually will go and train a little bit at his gym when I'm getting my hair done. It's a very cool gym. CrossFit Veer. Like deer, but
with
veer.
a V.
Like you're driving, you need to veer left.
Good job.
All right, I'll be right back. This episode of Between the Reps is brought to you by Lola, a modern approach to feminine care.
Lola is a female-founded company offering a line of organic cotton tampons, pads, liners, and all-natural cleansing wipes. Founders Jordana Keir and Alexander Friedman started their company with a simple and seemingly obvious idea. Women shouldn't have to compromise when it comes to feminine care products. They asked themselves, if we care about the ingredients and the food we eat and the beauty products we use, why shouldn't the same be true of our feminine care products? The FDA doesn't require brands to disclose a comprehensive list of ingredients in their feminine care products, so most of them don't. Lola offers complete transparency about the ingredients found in their tampons, pads, liners, and wipes.
Major brands use a mix of synthetic ingredients in their products, including rayon and polyester. Their feminine care products may also be treated with harsh chemicals, cleansing agents, fragrance, and dyes. Lola products are 100% organic cotton with no added chemicals, fragrances, synthetics, or dyes. That's important because, I mean, that's a sensitive area down there.
Yeah, you don't stick a bunch of dye up your vagina. And the cool part is that it's founded by women for women. A really cool thing is that your subscription is customizable. You can put in tampons or pads or whatever you want. For 40% off all subscriptions, visit MyLola, that's MYLOLA.com, and enter the code REPS, R-E-P-S, when you subscribe. Again, for your 40% off all subscriptions, visit mylola.com and enter the promo code REPS, R-E-P-S. Hey guys. Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. We finally have Eric here. You guys actually probably heard him talking in the background because when he wasn't on the podcast, I had him taking photos of the podcast. But yeah, so we did the podcast where I turned on the camera and talked, and I didn't know that it automatically shuts off at 30 minutes.
Oh.
I didn't know
you just
that.
keep going forever. And
Yeah, so we probably talked for probably like 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're checking it, and not only so at this point we didn't even know that it shut off.
Right.
All we knew is we were trying to listen to it, and we were like, wonder why we can't hear
no sound.
it.
Yeah.
There's no
Forgot
sound.
to turn on the microphone.
You know, but maybe it's just because you can't hear. I need to plug it into the computer or whatever. And then Mars gets in. He's like, so 1, there's no sound. 2, there's like
It ran out.
Yeah, there's like 20 minutes. That's it.
That was a challenging day.
We're
learning.
It was
It's
a
learning curve.
rough day, and they're like,
Learning
cool.
curve.
We have to do it again. So we did it again, and then we had to do it again.
Yeah. Lesson learned. Now we have a timer on.
Yes.
At
All right.
least you have a chance to do it again.
Yes.
Sometimes I've been photographing stuff, and you realize, because a lot of times my cameras will hang on my hip,
Uh-huh.
and like in moving, it'll like mess a dial up, and I don't even think to check it before, so I'll like pull up my camera, shoot like a whole series of stuff, and then you go back to check it, and you realize like it's either super underexposed or super overexposed, and you're like, oh well, hopefully you don't need any of that one, because
Oh, man.
I messed that up pretty bad. So.
No,
I've done that with this camera when we had a different mic on it though. and the mic, you had to turn it on and off.
Oh, yeah.
So this one, you plug it in and it turns on and off when the camera's on and off.
Nice.
So one, it preserves battery.
Yeah.
Which is also why I didn't even think to check the battery last time. On the other one, though, there were many times where I'd be filming or vlogging, no sound.
Yeah.
Zero sound. And like Tommy's done it too, like where we've been somewhere and Tommy's been filming like Mars do something.
Right.
And then he didn't turn on the sound. You can't use any of
Right.
it. But that's what I was saying. What you got to start doing is just having someone do some voiceover.
I will say this: at least you didn't video your sister's birth and turn it off instead of on.
Oh no!
That's what I did.
This is amazing footage.
Yeah.
That we
Only
are
kid
shooting.
that they've had, the only kid they're ever gonna have, right? They waited like 10 years to have a kid together, and I end up being in the room, and then last minute they're like, "Oh, will you stay?" And I was so excited. I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Here, will you film it?" And I was like, "Okay." And I turned it on, but they had already turned it on, so I literally turned it off. So when they went back to watch it, the only part that they got video of
Was before
is
you got it.
after. Well, it was like right before,
Okay.
and then right after, and it's just of the ground, and they're like, "Yay!" And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Just at the camera, like around the side.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that, and like everyone's like around the baby, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what have I done? What have I done?"
Just slowly sneak
Yeah.
out of the room.
How mad was she?
She wasn't. Actually, she was pretty cool about it.
She's like, you know what? Hindsight, who wants to see that anyway?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
They were actually much nicer to me about it than I thought they would be, but yeah, so it's not that bad.
All right.
Moving on.
Enough about me and you and
Yeah.
our weird tangents.
Yeah. Who cares
Eric
about that?
Greenhalgh, photographer, owns Imam Photography and CrossFit Veer. He lives in, Arizona. All of the places are so close to each other. So
It's
are you
all-
Is it
considered
Scottsdale?
Gilbert?
So we're actually Mesa.
Okay,
But I mean, it's
Mesa.
all part of the Phoenix area because
Okay.
we're just there. You can't even. You drive down the road and you have no
It's
idea
insane.
when you go in from one to another.
Like where they
so-
can't, the lines are.
You really
Yeah.
don't. There's not even signs.
I
Yeah.
go there and it's like
Where am I?
Phoenix, Mesa, Scottsdale, Gilbert.
Yeah.
Like in all these different areas, I have no idea where I am every
They've
single
all
time.
grown
technically
together.
Mesa.
Yeah, technically Mesa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
How long have you been doing photography?
I started photography when I was in high school, so it's probably like 16 years now. And then like CrossFit type stuff or this type of stuff for the last 5. So it's been a pretty crazy ride. But I remember like when I was a kid, we'd go on vacations, and my parents, my dad had like a little AE1 camera, which is like a little film camera from Canon. And I don't ever remember like being introduced to it. It was just like he had it, and so I would just steal it during vacations and go take pictures of random stuff. And it's weird because I never really thought of it as a profession when I was little.
Yeah.
You know, everyone wants to be like a football player or whatever. So I
Right.
had those same type of dreams, but as I kept going into school and I think my junior year in high school, I just needed an extra elective. And a couple of my friends were taking a photo class, so I took it and just kind of fell in love with it and doing it ever since. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So now you're like blending the two things that
yeah,
with CrossFit and that.
Yeah, it's really weird because 7 years ago, I'd heard of CrossFit. I never even knew what it was.
Right.
And then a good friend of mine invited me down to go CrossFit at his gym. And of course, just like anybody other CrossFit story.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
So my first workout was Helen. And
Okay.
Helen, 3 rounds, 400 meter run, 21 kettlebell swings, 12 pull-ups. And as a guy, you always have this like, oh yeah, I can totally crush this workout, no big deal.
Yeah.
So I go out on the first run and I sprint and I come back in and I'm halfway through the kettlebells and I'm starting to feel weird. I'm like, okay, something's wrong here.
Jericho.
And you know, like I'm pretty sure that I used like a scale. Like I'm pretty sure I was using like the girls' kettlebell weight, which is a 35. And I could only do 1 strict pull-up, and they don't teach you how to kip, right? Until you're confident in doing strict. So anyway, I'm using a green band on the pull-ups. I'm using a little kettlebell. I go out for my second run, and I'm like halfway through, and I'm like, oh no, this is not good. So for like 10 straight minutes, I was next to a bush, puking my guts out. Like everything that was in my stomach.
Oh
They sent someone to come find me. They didn't know what happened to me.
It's the new guy.
Yeah,
like, what's happening?
well, and I'd been out there forever. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't coming back. Like people that walk go faster than what I was doing.
They're probably thinking, like, even if he would have walked.
Yeah.
Did he run
yeah.
to his car and
So
go
they
home?
came out, found me. I'm like still next to this bush, like puking my guts out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well let's just make it back in. You can just stop."
Oh my god.
So I finished the workout really, really slow, like 20-something minutes for a workout that should take.
Hey, at
like,
least you finished it.
Yeah. And
Puke and rally.
I feel like there's 2 different types of people in that situation. There's a type of person who's like, that's not for me. I'm not into throwing up or whatever else.
Right.
But I was the other type of person who was like, why am I throwing up? I've been going to the gym forever. Like, something about this. So yeah, 7 years later, and now I own a CrossFit gym, and it's just the way it is.
Crazy how
it's super fun.
I love it. It's like
work.
one round in, I come in and I start noticing like something's changed.
Yeah.
I don't feel
Something's
right.
changing. Not quite sure what it is yet, but I imagine in another 5 minutes, I'm gonna know what it is. I've never
Puked after a workout?
Yeah.
I've definitely felt nauseous,
yeah.
but I've never
Yeah.
actually puked.
But I know people that like almost every time. Miranda Oldroyd, she's a puker.
Yeah.
She is a puker. Yeah.
I think it's
Get the demons out.
So like I hate throwing up more than anything else in the world. If someone was like, you could cut off a finger and never throw up the rest of your life, I'd be like, which one and with what instrument? Like a hammer or something and chisel. I don't even care. So I think like I definitely don't push myself to the point where I'm gonna throw up because I hate it so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only time I've ever thrown up in a CrossFit workout. But
Yeah. Or like Matt Fraser pukes before every competition.
Really?
Yeah.
Like before you even
nervous?
start? Oh, nervous?
No,
Oh,
you can't.
yeah, I can't do that.
It's him.
No.
Like it's not like he wants to. It's like
His body just says
Yeah.
get
Just
rid of
does
it.
yeah.
It knows what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't even drink
And then he's like,
pre-workout. I'm just gonna throw it up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what were you doing for work before you, I guess, were you getting like more professionally or like working as a photographer before you opened CrossFit Veer?
Yeah, so
what were you doing
when I
before?
graduated high school, and I started going to college for photography, and it was just like weddings and families and portraits, stuff like that. So really, I shot weddings exclusively for almost 10 years. And then when I started getting into CrossFit, I also had kind of, not got burnt out, but it was just harder for me to like really get excited about weddings anymore because it just becomes so repetitive over and over again. Like people would come to me with like some crazy idea about going to some destination, and that would excite me more than anything because it's like totally new place, whatever else. But like the venues like right around town, you're just like, I've been there so many times, shot so many different people. It's just like how do you stay creative with that? So when CrossFit came around, it was like really fun to kind of like explore new things, and then I kind of slowly just worked myself away from the wedding side of it, and then just really started working with the athletes and the companies that sponsor the athletes. So that's kind of where my story as far as that's concerned is. But I've always been a professional photographer as far as like how I make my living.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is the hardest thing, or maybe was the hardest thing, learning how to learning how to shoot athletes?
The biggest thing for me is understanding like what their goals are for like what we're photographing, and it kind of depends. Sometimes you're shooting for a company that's having an athlete shot, and sometimes you're shooting for the athlete because they're trying to promote themselves. So it's really just based on like what our goal is, like what we're trying to accomplish with that, whether it's showing off a product or just showing off them or in a product. So the hardest thing I think for me is understanding like the end game for each person and then trying to fulfill like their vision, right? Because sometimes if I get all the control, then it's easy for me to create like what I want to create. If it's like you're trying to work within a scope of what they're looking for, then you're trying to make sure that you show their vision, not just like what you imagine it is. So that's probably the hardest thing for me.
How about lighting for athletes?
That's same kind of thing. Like obviously I like to shoot as much natural as possible. Like I can shoot studio. I've done that plenty of times before. But I think the hard part with studio lighting is you're very limited to like that individual shot at a time. Whereas like with athletes, everything's got to be like look like it's in motion. Like you want to create a as natural as possible type thing. So that's the hardest, generally speaking, because most CrossFit gyms, especially when we shoot CrossFit, they're just like dark caves of
and like terrible
really
lighting.
awesome.
Right,
Like
yeah.
ours has like all that fluorescent
Terrible
lighting.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I just
So
look
all of
like the
it's-
crypt keeper.
Exactly.
Anytime somebody takes a picture of me in there.
So and that's hard because it's all
Yeah.
down lighting. You don't have anything else coming
Right.
in. So shadows always come this way. And if you're making it super moody, that's what you want. Like if you
Sure.
want something really harsh, then like because like abs and everything pop
Right.
that way. But nothing
the old
else.
faces
Yeah.
don't.
No, everything else
You
looks
don't.
terrible.
You don't
nothing
want
else
everything to
looks
pop
good.
in your old face.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, everything else looks terrible.
neck down is fine.
Yeah.
Almost every time I've had a photo shoot and they like plan like for it's a sponsor or whatever, they plan to go to our gym, I'm always like, it's terrible
No,
in here.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I even try to like figure out ways to like get people out of the gym as much as possible. Even if we have to bring a bunch of gear and like make it seem like nobody actually trains here, but it still lends for better photography because natural light is so much better than anything else you can do. And they can move without having to worry about like stopping for each individual shot. They can just
that's happened to
work
her
out.
before. I remember there's been a time when someone will like have someone come and photograph you, but they're not. It's not what they normally do. Like they've normally done weddings or something. They haven't done somebody like an athlete like in motion.
Exactly.
And they were having her like pose.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of, like you were saying, like catching someone during the movement.
Right.
And she's like coaching them, like, no, I can't do it like this. Like,
Right.
you're not going to get the shot like this.
Yeah, I literally,
Yeah.
like, there's been times for different sponsors where it's like,
They kind of don't know what they're doing.
and I'm like so irritated. So I've literally had to like take full control over the shoot, and then ends up being fine.
Yeah.
But it's like there are photographers in sport that I'm like, you don't know how to shoot an athletic body.
Right.
Like you need to figure that out because you can't shoot it the same.
Yeah.
Especially when I
it's a
say
different game.
especially women.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because, like, even, like, with Mars or the guys from, like, CrossFit HQ, well, none of them are from CrossFit HQ anymore, but they used to be, I would get irritated at them being like, stop shooting girls like that. Like, we're already
not
giant
flattering.
humans.
Right.
Like, you don't need to shoot me from a down, like, a low to high angle. Like, don't make me look bigger than I already am.
Right.
You know, or it's like, they'll do the super moody lighting.
Yeah.
Like, mood lighting. And it's
Yeah.
like, you've got this... they're trying to like make your whole body pop, but I'm like, but you then take away any attractiveness in the face.
Yeah, like you've taken all my femininity.
It's like, and then you have my body that already is pretty hard, and now you make my face look even sharper and harder, and it's like I get like what you're trying to do, but there has to be, like, you have to still
have a balance.
Yeah, and that's where it comes down to like making sure that it's your vision and not, you know, like, because I can think of a million crazy things to do and make it as harsh and crazy as possible.
Right.
But it's like, what's our end game? What's our goal? What are we trying to accomplish? So.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a photographer, but I've been around photographers and videographers for so long. I think it's a matter too of like having to remind yourself to look at the big picture.
Right.
Versus looking at something.
Right.
You know, it's like if, you know, you could look at like the details, but unless you like actually look at like the whole thing, like you might get so drawn into like the details of seeing the lines here and the depth here. But if you don't look at how the whole thing looks, it's like you could literally make this person look like garbage with great abs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look at this garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if all you were trying to do was show off like abs, obviously you could easily do that where it's like zoomed in on that part as opposed to like that as a whole. But yeah, it's totally it's a process for sure, and you get better at it the more you do it for sure.
Or if, like, for me, I photograph better in natural light.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because we were talking about this the other day because of the YouTube video. I have like really prominent features. Like I have like really high cheekbones, but I have really small eyes. And like there's like the way that my face, like I'll see it sometimes, like when I see like video or photos of me too. Like, yeah, I get Botox. No, I don't get a lot of Botox, and I still have a lot of movement in my face. But people, and I can see it sometimes, they're legitimately think that I've had plastic surgery done. And I'm like, no. And they think that I've had my cheeks like done. And I'm like, no.
Right.
You know, and it's like I was talking to my friend Kevin, we were on a bike ride, and I was talking to him about this YouTube video.
Yeah, I think it's what he said. It's really funny.
So the YouTube video comes out. It's the Brute, the one I did for Brute Strength, Brute Showdown. And I remember I was watching they have the first episode, like Meet the Girls. And yeah, no, I don't look great all the time. Like currently, I've got a rash on my forehead. It's really obnoxious. You know, I'm like, don't do my makeup all the time. Like that's normal. But we had to do these interviews, and it was after we had trained all day.
Yeah.
And we're in Louisiana, where you're just sweating.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're gonna go here and do the interviews. And I was like, I'm like, can I do mine tomorrow? Like tomorrow morning? I didn't have any of my stuff with me.
Right.
And they're like, no, we gotta do it today. And I'm like, oh my God. So my hair is like in a ponytail. I've been sweating and training. I have none of my stuff with me, like no makeup. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess like this is my reality, so this is it.
Right.
So we go. All of the girls had all their makeup in their bags.
So everyone else is all done up.
Oh yeah. Like all of them have all their makeup in their bags, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Well, we get to my interview, and I remember I'm watching my interview, and I don't know who like set up the lighting in like the studio. All the girls, I feel like I watched the interviews, and they all had like makeup on though, and it like, looked pretty good. For me, it was like so bright.
Yeah.
And I'm so fair and blonde,
Just
and I have no makeup on,
Right.
that it
Like
literally just like flattens me
imperfection.
out
Right.
and just makes me look weird as fuck. And so it's like I'm watching this, and I was like, oh, as soon as like my interview comes on, I'm like, here we go.
Wait for it.
I was like, wait,
for
put my armor on.
Oh, I know.
But like 100%. So I'm riding my bike with Kevin, and I had started watching that, and I didn't want to read any comments. So like the next week, episode 2 came out.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is like we finally start working out.
Right.
And I've been getting tagged and all this stuff because I won the deadlift, but then I didn't win because they went off of a Wilks scale. So they took your body weight into account,
Okay.
but they didn't even have us stand on a scale. So Maddie Forberg is the power lifter that was there.
Sure.
You know, I think they probably just went off of like her competition weight.
Right.
A lot of people were not very happy about that because
okay.
I pulled more weight than anyone.
Sure.
Yeah, you killed it. 397. Right? 379. I said that backwards.
379.
379.
397.
Whoa!
Really good.
That was really good.
But
379.
yeah, so like I'm reading this, and I was like, I'll read some of the comments. And like YouTube, I really try to not read comments in general because
Sure. There's so many
lots of
crazy
crappy
people out
ones.
there.
But there was a lot of pretty good ones. And so I let myself read the comments on the first episode, and it was gnarly.
Horrible.
Did you go and read them?
I did after you said that.
It was gnarly.
Awful.
Okay, there was like not one.
Awful.
There was not one good one.
Oh.
All the guys were like, I'm gonna go and read the comments.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I wasn't going to, but then you were upset, and so I was
I was
like,
having it really put me into
I need
quite
to
the
see
rut.
what the hell. And when I read it, I was like, I don't know how anybody could read it and not be that upset. It was awful. People are awful. And all I kept thinking is, just wait till episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, if they weren't attacking my appearance,
They were attacking your ability, or
they
were attacking,
legitimately
it was
like,
bad.
It was one attacking my appearance, talking about how much plastic surgery I've had. Oh, here we go. All the steroids I'm on. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm injured.
Yeah.
One, I'm competing against people that I would say they're not using anything, but they're in sports where you would definitely think that like that's what you would question. I'm like,
Sure.
how are you all still questioning me?
Right.
Yeah, it was.
So
pretty
it was
awful.
like attacking my appearance. Okay, that felt pretty shitty. Told me I looked like I was 40 years old.
that's younger than me.
Still younger than me.
Yeah.
I'd be stoked if somebody said
She's like, wait a minute.
40 years old.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, I mean, you don't want to be not
But
even
then,
30.
but then
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there were so many people that were like, I was the worst representation of CrossFit.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was like, why would they chose me to come do this show?
Like you weren't relevant.
Oh, because
Yeah.
I'm not relevant. Oh, I'm probably only doing it because my husband's doing the video, and Mars was helping video, but he didn't edit it. He didn't do any of that shit.
Right.
And like I was going regardless. He came because I was going because they were asked him to come for a little extra help.
Right.
So there.
Take that.
We can't
But,
like address
for
every
sure,
single
like,
comment.
but so many
They
things
were just awful.
Like, yeah, so many
They were
things were
terrible.
like, I was the worst representation.
Yeah.
Why would you have someone come who was injured? Like, just all this shit. Like, how I was, like, gonna do terrible.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm reading these, and I'm like...
Because this is just the interview so far.
Yeah.
You haven't even, like, done anything
Yes, this
yet.
is the interview. Yeah,
This
and
is
so
just
it's like, but I
Just
didn't...
like that welcome.
introducing
Yeah,
them.
here's our athletes.
Yeah,
here's what
yeah,
they
yeah. And then it was
Okay.
like boom, boom,
So
boom.
nothing's
and it was
even
just
happened.
Grenade.
Oh,
that's
just
the word.
fucking
Awful.
gnarly one.
I mean, it was awesome because she ends up just killing it.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm
But it was
reading
still
it, and
terrible.
it's like really it's like really upsetting. It's like one of those things where it's I can't believe what you're saying, but I still have to I'm still reading it, and I'm still having to reassure myself that you don't know what you're talking about. And that I'm not 40, 29. You know, and so it's like I was just really upset, and I think I talked to someone about it where I had told you too, like after reading stuff like that, even though I know that they're not true, and I know that they're just trolls, and I know that that's like, you know, the amount of good like totally outweighs the bad. And usually on some, you know, videos or things, like people that don't have anything bad to say, they're not gonna, we don't necessarily comment.
Right.
Right? Like,
you
it's
don't
like,
purposely
you see
go there.
things and you love it, but we don't, like, even to me, like, you may not like it, or you may not comment on it, but that doesn't mean you don't love it, or you don't like it.
Right.
It's like, there are shitty people that are like, I need to tell you all the stuff I don't like. Right. Like, I know that that's the situation, but then I'll go throughout my day, and I legitimately will see myself differently in the mirror.
Well, yeah. It
or
feels
like,
shitty.
and like feel a whole lot different.
Yeah.
So anyways, full circle, I'm on a bike ride with my friend Kevin, and I've had a bad day, and I had talked to you, and I was like going on this bike ride to feel better.
Yeah.
Which worked, by the way. And I started talking to him about it, and telling him like what they were saying or whatever, and his response, he's an interesting dude. Funny. Mm-hmm. He said, well, I'm not trying to say that the haters were right. And I go,
but like with a pause.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm
are you trying to make me feel better?
Yeah.
I'm on my bike and I'm like,
just a pep talk?
Yeah,
like,
it's the butt
yeah.
comment,
And I go,
right?
I'm like ready.
But.
Yeah.
I'm like ready for whatever he's gonna say, and I go, okay. And he said, he pauses and he's like, well, now I'll just say it since I already started. And I was like, yeah,
Please,
say it.
spit it
Like,
out.
Spit it out. And he said, definitely in some video and photos, you look way different than you actually look in real life. Yeah. And my response was, I know.
Right.
Like, yeah. I 100% know.
No, I think you said when you told me the story, you were like, thank you! Thank you!
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Like you said. Yeah.
And he was just saying, he's like, you need to be photographed in natural light. Like, and I'm like, I know. Like, I have features that are very, like, prominent, and you like me poorly, and it will legitimately
just
make me
harsh.
look different.
It changes the whole entire thing. And that's sometimes working with people longer. Like, if you get more than one opportunity, it's nice because you learn what works, what doesn't, and then and then what they like too. So that always makes a big deal too. Like, working with people for more than just like one time ever.
Right.
For
Get
sure.
a rapport
well, and
with
then
someone.
I suppose, I mean, this actually, I was just thinking about this just now, but lighting for video versus lighting for photo.
Oh yeah, totally different.
Because I didn't even think about that, right? Yeah. So like this interview that I was talking about, they also took photos that day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all
and Mars took the photos, and the photos look great.
Right.
And I look fine,
yeah.
and you can like see the depth and the you see, they're great photos.
Right.
But the video, I look bad. Like I look super flat. Plus, I didn't have any makeup on.
Right.
Washed out, kind of gross, if you ask me. I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything about it. And in the moment, I thought to myself,
"Wow,
well, this is my reality. I can't change it. This is what I look like."
And
then, but as soon as I watched the video, I was like, "Oh, should have changed it."
Yeah.
Nah.
But I think everyone goes through that. Like, it's perspective. Like, you've met a lot of the people that come to my gym and things like that, and constantly when they talk about us working together, they're always like, can she even take a bad photo?
I know.
So like, you know what I mean? From
Right.
like an outside perspective, there's so many people that would see it as the opposite way. Like they judge themselves differently too. And then they see like other people that they see all the time. And they're always like, there's just no way for you to take a bad photograph. And I'm sitting
You're
there
like,
like,
well, actually, I'm just a really great photographer.
You're like, listen, there's a lot of
No. When we go through the editing, it's like, oh yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah. Like, you definitely see the bad ones.
But that's with every single thing. I mean, there's not a photo shoot out there in the million years that they do not have so many dang files that they just throw in the trash.
Right.
Because whether it's how you looked that day, whatever it is, they're just like, this isn't the best representation of what we're going for anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So it happens on everyone, but yeah. So like, from their perspective, you can't take a bad photograph. So, a positive thing. Like,
and that on a positive note.
Yeah. Anyway, so I believe the importance of someone who, like, I'm now going to have to start figuring out the best, like, some little tips and tricks or things that I could tell a photographer, like, hey, I look better in this light, or we should do it here, or not do it here.
Yeah. And because keep your makeup bag on you.
Yeah, and always keep my
on
makeup bag on me.
The emergency.
But the importance of, one, if you're going to be photographed a lot, like, have a good idea of like what helps you look like yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying look the best. I'm saying look like yourself. Like, I'm just trying to look.
I just want to look like myself.
Yeah, I don't want to look like a real person that doesn't have,
I'm a real boy.
And then also, to be able to like communicate that to the photographer.
Right.
Yeah.
Because-
that's the biggest thing. Talking to each other about what the vision is, and then working on it until you get it right. So for sure.
And finding the right one.
Yeah.
Yes, would be.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to be able to do it. So,
For sure.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think was your most difficult shoot you've had?
Maybe
Maybe not necessarily difficult
like in
person,
Yeah.
or just difficult.
Maybe you were like, maybe the lighting was really tough to work with.
You're like
So I'm telling you, in the
you're like really fixated on the lighting.
Well, no,
Like,
I'm
what about
just,
the lighting?
Yeah.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
no,
be
in the
more of
cross-
like a technical
Yeah,
question.
no,
like in the CrossFit space, it's literally like every single time that someone says, "Hey, can we shoot in the gym, or can we shoot in a gym, or whatever?"
Right.
99% of the time, the gyms are just very poorly
Crap,
lit. It's
yeah.
just not. They're not made to be that way. It was a lot of them are in commercial spaces, so I
Sure.
understand. So we try to do like as many things as possible to help it. Like if they've got a big roll-up door, that thing's coming up all the way
Right.
to the top, so we can get as much like light pulling in from there. You can also do like crazy things with it. You can backlight it from that. So there's a lot of different things where like that becomes just like in your tool bag. Now you've done it enough to realize like this is not going to work. This is going to work. How do we best use that space so that they look the best, and so that way we can accomplish what we can accomplish. Like sometimes even with pulling in that light in, like you can light them, but the rest of the thing is still look like a cave, and it's
Right.
like, do we care about that?
Right.
Do we need to show the gym in the background? If not, then just let it go away. Like let
Right,
it turn black if we need
Sure.
to. So there's just a lot of challenges there for that. But as far as like the most difficult shoot ever, it wasn't so much like the technicality of it, it was like getting there.
Oh,
So
okay.
this was back when I was shooting weddings, and I actually got hired to go shoot a wedding in Italy. And I don't know if you remember, but there was that time where the volcano in like Iceland or someplace like that erupted, and it sent so much ash in the air that they grounded all flights like everywhere. You could not fly from the U.S. to
I don't
Europe
remember
or
that.
anywhere. So the crazy thing is when it erupted, it was like a week and a half before their wedding was supposed to go off.
Oh my god.
And so me and like all the rest of the family weren't getting in there until like 3 days before the wedding, whereas they had gone a week early, and then they were staying a week after for like a honeymoon type thing.
It's like all their guests.
So they were there 3 days before they shut all the airports down. Nobody else was. None of their family. I wasn't. Nobody could get on a flight. And so for 3 straight days, I was trying to call and be like, "Hey, are there any flights going?" No. And I'm talking about like 3 or 4 hours on the phone just waiting on hold until
my
someone
God,
would
what a
tell
nightmare.
you that you couldn't go.
Yeah.
So I remember it was a Sunday, and I was about ready to go to bed, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to call one last time randomly. So I call the number, and it immediately picks up, which is weird because I've been holding for like 3 or something hours.
Right.
And the lady's like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" Told her my flight number, where I needed to go, that I really needed to get there. And she's like, "Actually, I have one seat available tomorrow morning. It leaves at like 5:45.
Oh my god.
So it's like 11:30 at night. I haven't packed. Everything is just like not ready to go. And so I get on a flight the next morning. I was the only, like me and his parents were the only people in their entire wedding that actually showed up.
No.
What?
Nobody else made it.
No.
Not one person.
Oh.
So it was like a crazy like 3-day period of she would call me and just bawling her eyes out. She's like, "We can't get any of our family here. You can't be here." She's like, "I don't even have someone who can do this so that I can like show my family that we got married."
Right.
So they had it all planned out. It ended up being like a really, really cool trip. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the most difficulty I've ever had trying to get to a shoot to even do it.
That is
For
crazy.
sure, but yeah, that was crazy.
Is there a place or maybe a company or
Maybe a person?
a person that like is like a goal thing that you'd want to shoot, like whether it's like a doing a type of photography or shooting a specific event or
As a CrossFit photographer, like you obviously want to go to the games eventually, and what's interesting about this whole changeover is that I think I hate that everyone lost their job because some of these guys are my friends and I
Right.
know them and I love their work, so it's not even like they were doing a bad job.
Right.
But it definitely allows some of us who kind of been on the outside to have a little more opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been actually interesting how much more we've been able to do even in this last couple months now that it's not being controlled, so to speak,
Right,
with
but they don't have a
with
media
HQ.
department, right.
Yeah. So I would love to go shoot the games eventually, but the biggest thing for me right now is I just really like working with the people. Like probably my favorite thing in being a photographer and then also owning the gym is like the human interaction. Like that's my favorite part, really. So I can't really say there's anyone in particular that I like want to go shoot, but literally I would be excited to shoot anybody who's part of this space. Like CrossFit for me has been such an amazing opportunity to kind of grow as a person, even just with the community side of it and how it affects other people's lives. And I love every time there's like a story that's produced where someone, their whole life has been changed either through CrossFit or some association with it. So to me, it's just every time I meet a new person, whether it's a high level athlete or some random guy from a gym, like what you can learn from people is just like the most fun for me when it comes to doing this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, what is your, like, for all like the more camera nerds out there?
Yeah.
What's your favorite like rig setup?
I mean, I'm a Canon photographer, always have been. So it's kind of one of those things like once you stick with something, you just do it. So I have 1DX Mark III because it gives you the best range of everything. It's their biggest camera. It's the most expensive, but it gives you the biggest range because you can use it as a portrait camera. But it's also psycho speed for all this type of stuff where we have to shoot action. So that's probably my favorite go-to. And then I love being able to kind of isolate people down. In fact, a lot of times when I go to win jobs, like the biggest comment I get is how intimate I can make the photo look. So my 70-200 2.8 as far as the lens is probably my go-to because it gives me a little bit of flexibility to pull out, but it really allows me to kind of like zoom into like what I'm focused on. So that's probably my best kit.
So is that a lot of like you're talking about like depth of field?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it is. So on a full frame camera, it's its own like zoom. Like 70-200 is its thing. There's no crop factor. So it does allow you to kind of like isolate that person or the object away from the background. Yeah. So you get the bokeh effect where it's basically just blurred out behind them.
Is it bokeh or bokeh?
I don't know.
Bokeh. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I've just learned about this.
Probably.
Because our friend Daniel's like super into it, so he's always like, look at the bokeh. Look
probably,
at the bokeh.
Who knows?
Sorry, I wasn't trying to
No, I really don't know.
That wasn't my
We'll
intent.
have to look it up.
I just thought maybe I'd been saying it wrong. Yeah, I know exactly.
Siri, is it bokeh?
Because I didn't know what that was, and I was like, no, it's like the blur behind, right?
Yeah, it's basically when you just isolate that from the background.
Yeah,
and that's
very cool.
It probably goes back to when I first started photography. I couldn't stand when people were in my images. I liked still life and I liked landscape, and so like if someone got in my photograph, I would be like, why are you there?
Yeah,
exactly. So I like the concept of taking like ordinary objects and making them look extraordinary or whatever you want to call it. So I really like when I first started shooting weddings, I was like assisting for other people, and for the longest time it would be like like it would hurt my feelings to be doing it. But then what's actually interesting is I learned that storytelling is a huge part of that, right? You're trying to tell a story with what you're doing. And that's what kind of made me realize, like, one, wedding photography can be super fun and super artistic. And then everything else that goes along with it is that you're not just photographing an item anymore. It's you're telling a story. You're demonstrating something with that. So that's why I could do wedding photography and enjoy it for so long, is that I got out of that space where people were just like, ew. And it was like, what story are we trying to tell with these images? So
that's cool. It's you.
Ew.
What are you doing?
And a lot of it's probably because you really can't control what they're doing.
Yeah, you really can't.
Like, especially if you're doing a wedding. Like you want to capture a beautiful moment, but you might have one of these in the background. You just made me the ew.
Well, you know what's funny is
you're the ew, Jeanna.
Yeah.
I would for sure be the ew. I would, man.
There's literally a photo that I have. Do you remember the photo I showed you? It's from regionals, or maybe it was somewhere. And I'm getting a photo with this person. He tagged me in this photo, and in the background is Jeanna.
No, I
think
remember.
I'm looking at the scoreboard or something.
Yeah.
Or the leaderboard.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there was when I first came to photograph Brooke for Perkia, we were out to lunch in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were just because you were drinking a coffee and you had like the rings on and everything else like that. And I just remember there was a couple of 2 or 3 that I sent you that you were like, well, I look great, but look at Jeanna. Look at Jeanna in the background.
That's a common.
just-
It's a common issue.
Yeah,
it's a common problem.
It's,
I mean, we even-
it's like your pause face is just kind of like.
Yeah. I never thought of myself as a mouth breather, but I'm realizing I'm a mouth. My mouth is hanging open all the time. Like, what the hell? But yeah, I'm working on that.
Do you consciously tell yourself to like?
Now I'm trying to because I've seen so many pictures. It's not like I've, been around like in front of cameras and stuff as much as I have with her. And so all of a sudden I'm like, wow, what am I doing? Or even just video, I'm like, what?
We were just at dinner for Daniel and Sam, and we were playing cards. We were playing a game after we had dinner at the bar next door, and like there's a rule. There's like one card you play, and you have to make a rule.
Yeah.
So like one of the rules was every time Jeanna had to drink.
You guys had to make a confused face.
We had to make her confused face, which Gina's confused face is this.
It's like my mouth hanging open.
Yeah.
But like Daniel and Sam would just
like,
do this like
smelling shit.
Ugh.
It was like smelling shit.
That's hilarious.
Speaking of DJs walking in.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this episode with Brooke and Jeanna, Between the Reps.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you rate, review, subscribe.
5-star
rating. Where can we find you, Eric?
Imam Photo.
At
Imam Photo.
Instagram.
On Instagram. And CrossFit Veer in Arizona, if you guys are ever there. In Mesa, also literally, next to every other area.
Yeah, it's always like a 10-minute drive.
If you're flying into Phoenix, go and check out CrossFit Veer. And we'll definitely have you on again when we have our new setup.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great.
Very cool.
On the road with Brooke and Jeanna.
On the road.
On the road.
On the road again.
Just gonna
I'm not gonna start singing. We gotta cut it off right there. It's like where it starts to get weird. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Yep. We will talk to you next time.
See ya. Talk to you next time. Bye.